Hi, everyone. Welcome to Techsy Founders Special Sauce Podcast. This is the second episode. I'm Ken. This is Kieran. And this is Raghav Narayan, who is the CEO of Aprisium, a clean tech company whose company makes sensors that can detect contaminants and hazardous chemicals in an efficient and inexpensive way. Prior to Aprisium, Raghav spent 23 years at the Volvo Group, where he started out as country manager in the Indian office and moved up to regional roles, and was finally managing director. Welcome, Raghav.
Thank you so much, Ken and Karen.
So, if we can start maybe a little bit about Aprisium, um, can you tell us a little bit about the company and kind of how you guys got started?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Aprisium, as you correctly said, is a real-time autonomous contaminant monitoring company. Oftentimes, what happens today is that companies who have to monitor contaminants, they take a sample, be it drinking water, wastewater, data centers, industrial wastewater, food, uh, aquaculture, any of this, they take a sample, send it to a lab, await the results, and then take action based on that lab results, which normally takes about any time from 1 week to sometimes a couple of months. And obviously, you're not going to be optimized if you're waiting for a lab result which is a month late. Therefore, where we come in is to deploy real-time autonomous sensors. We deploy it at source so that the customers or the users are getting updates real time, and therefore the treatment or any action they want to take is absolutely real time, which is so crucial for optimizing your management of these contaminants. So that's Aprisium, and so we deploy ourselves in across wastewater, drinking water, semiconductor plants, data centers, cooling towers, aquaculture. So some of these are our current projects, commercial projects, and also we're doing pilots in other applications. Which are like food industries. The wastewater management is getting extremely complex now with new and emerging contaminants, for example, in Europe. So we are doing quite well there. We're doing some pilots there. We're also doing some very interesting pilots in some of the Danish fish farms in Denmark, where any fish farm, for that matter, has a quite I mean, some of us who have probably not spent time in a fish farm, aquaculture, the mortality rate, which means the fish dying, is actually quite high, 25 to 30%, and that's straight away off the top line. And so much of protein is also lost. So, and most often the problems happen because of the contaminants in water. And that's where we come in with autonomous
Right.
sensors, detect these contaminants which are impacting the fish lives, and then we can give insights for immediate action. So that's how
Oh,
we are. So as you said, I've worked in a corporate life all my life for the last 25 years. And Dr. Lars Henrik Skolding is the CTO, and I'm the CEO. And the two of us got together through an incubation program. And we're still a young company, almost just 2.5 years old, but we've had some tremendous traction. I would say in terms of be it our commercial traction, be it our fundraise, be it the interest for our products. And I think the reason for that is that the world was waiting for a very uniquely efficient detection management system right at source. And when we came in, it was just right. The disruption was just nice. And we've seen some very good purchase of the concept from a lot of companies. So that's how we've had some good traction with this relatively, I mean, for a deep tech company to have traction the way we've had just in 2 years, 2.5 years, I think is quite unique simply because the market was looking for a product like this, for a solution like this.
yeah. You guys just raised 7 million, right?
Yep.
Recently, I read.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Yeah, for 2.5 years. And I mean, you guys make actual physical hardware. Where did the know-how? Well, I think that's one of the hardest things for startup founders to kind of come at something like this is they just don't know how to make that. How did you guys have that kind of know-how?
Yeah. So it's a combination of things. We license some base IP. background IP from A-Star, the Agency for Science, Technology and Research in Singapore. We licensed some technology from there. We also had our own IP from Dr. Lars. He is a CTO. He's worked on sensors and clean tech companies before. We've also hired a very leading researcher in this topic called Dr. Eva Gribovich. She is from Poland, but we worked all around the world, and she's one of the leading researcher in this industry. And so she's joined us and helped us develop some very cutting edge techniques. For example, today we're one of the only company in the world who can detect PFAS, which is a new and emerging contaminant, especially prevalent in Europe and North America. Uh, we are one of the few companies in the world who can detect PFAS at source. Right now, the process it takes about 2 to 3 months to correctly identify the PFAS molecules, and we have to detect it to parts per trillion, which is extremely what should I say, extremely tough. So we detect that today at source, which is quite an achievement for us in relatively a short period of time, and that comes because of the expertise we have with Dr. Eva, who joined us as R&D head and also as the chief product officer.
And how did the leap from like I would imagine 25 years or so in Volvo Group, you have a lot of know-how around automotive. Why not start something directly? Like I'm sure you've seen problems in the automotive industry. Like why not tackle that? What kind of motivated you to jump into this completely, seemingly unrelated field?
Very logical question. So, so the solution we have is very much applicable to automobile industries, and I'll tell you why. When I was in the automotive industry, and before that, I was in engineering industry a little bit as well. One of the challenges has always been wastewater discharge, especially in Europe. Very often, we don't read so much in the news because it's not sexy enough. Is that a lot of companies are constantly being fined millions of dollars for discharging something they did not know they were discharging. And it's not by intent. No company wants to discharge bad stuff. It's just that they don't know. Is exactly for the same reason I said that you send samples to a lab and wait for the lab results to come, and they don't know what they're discharging. You're hoping that nothing is bad, but things don't work by
Mhm.
hope. And that's why this is virtually one of the reasons I entered this business. Of course, I'm here for profits, right? I want to see the market size and the growth and who are the competition and what's the problem statement. So when you look at what we are doing, it's applicable to a large extent in automotive industry. We are working with one of the EV battery companies in Europe to also look at the discharge because EV batteries, for example, have one of the most hazardous discharges.
Mm.
And we're still grappling with some of the discharges because we don't know how to manage them. So every part of the EV chain is discharging something which is what we call emerging contaminants. And therefore, our system is applicable for automotive industries or even semiconductor plants, battery manufacturing, hydrogen plants, aviation fuel, sustainable fuel, biofuel. We apply our technologies all over the place. So while it might seem that it's a dramatic shift from automotive industry, but what we are doing is actually solving some of the problems of today's automotive industry and other industries as well. So
Oh,
I wanted to go not into a particular didn't want to constrain myself and I wanted to start something on my own in we're a very niche industry. I wanted to get into something which is applicable across the board. And plus, I wanted to be in something more sustainable where we make an impact on the environment. Having spent about 25 years, you come to a time in life when you just don't want to do
yeah,
profits. You want to do profits with some purpose.
gotcha.
So then that sort of,
Okay,
it resonated with both Lars and me, and then we started this company where, of course, we're aiming for profits. Of course, we're aiming for growth. In the process, we're also trying to save the environment as well. So it sort of strikes a few birds with one stone.
gotcha. Okay. Well, one last thing that really struck me. 'Cause I came from the corporate world a long time ago and have been in the tech world for a while, but yeah, I know a lot of my ex-colleagues from the corporate world, and some of them have tried to make startups and things like this, and you don't see them succeed very often, and part of why I've thought about it in the past is they're kind of a function of this large corporate system that is operates very differently from a startup. So how easy was that transition for you?
Good point. See, it's one thing to navigate established systems, as you correctly said, right? But it's another thing to build something from the ground up. You take an idea from concept to reality. And for me personally, founding Aprisium has been extremely rewarding and a challenging experience. It sort of, in a way, allowed me to channel all my experience and passion into creating something new, but also challenged me in the things I don't know about. For example, you have to, in Volvo Group, the brand is enough for me to go hire people. In a startup, how do you convince people to come and join us? Uh, Especially a deep tech startup, which is not, as I said, nothing on no way. I mean, of course, you use AI and all that, but it doesn't entice people. Oh my God, I want to join there, right? There's enough. So how do
Yeah.
you manage all this? I think that's been a huge learning curve for me. But what I find it interesting is that there are a lot of like-minded people. So a lot of them have been in their careers who have done enough and they want to do a little bit more self-actualized focus, right? So for example, environmental sustainability, um, getting into deep tech, driving innovation, and driving into areas where there's virtually no other competition as of now. So these also appeal to people. So Eva, she was in a very comfortable job in Thermo Fisher, for example, very big corporate in the same field. And then she embraced the idea of joining a startup and doing everything from R&D to envisioning the product. So in a way, she joins as a C-suite and she starts to see the whole canvas of how a startup evolves and so on. So I think one thing is to get the right people. That's so important. But the other thing which has been so important for us in Aprisium is very quickly we had a product market fit. We knew the problem was there, and we had to get a solution. So initially, it was a bit of a evolution as well. We initially created a product which was manually testing, and then we soon realized that it's no different from a lab. You send it to a lab and do manual testing here, or doing lab manual testing at site. It's not scalable. So we quickly worked to create autonomous division, robotic testing, and then suddenly the floodgates opened. When we had that and we started to do a few POCs, and customers realized that someone who was spending like $50,000-$60,000 a month and now spending $5,000-$6,000 a month, they're like, oh my God, this is like exactly what we wanted. Just come on in board. And then we started to get the orders coming in, commercial traction very high. A lot of people, I mean, I have had unknown water companies in Europe. I don't even know they exist. They get in touch with me on LinkedIn and say, we read about what you're doing. We're applying for important tender. This is a tender where we don't know how to monitor some of these contaminants. Can you come and jointly quote with us for the tender? I'm like, wow, sure, why not? And some of them are talking for a 5-year project, so which means it secures our 5-year business as well. So it's been fascinating to go into this very, very unique deep tech technology field, but also the fact that we are able to engage with top multinational companies around the world and give them solutions, I think is also satisfying. And that's also appeals to what we talk to people when we hire them. That's what it appeals to them, and they come and join us as well. So today we are a team of 20, and this is just in 2 years, right? And we hope to break even our operations by end of the year or early Jan, and which means we have a lot of money to expand our business, grow into other areas, and expand our segments, expand markets, and grow our business. So it's been a tumultuous but very satisfying ride in the last couple of years.
That's amazing to have found that product market fit so soon, though, isn't it? It's you don't hear that very often. I'm really curious to just go right back to the beginning of the story. Then, who had the idea for the company, and how were those first few? How did the first few moments pan out?
Yeah, thanks. So Lars, I had not met till we met. We were in the incubator program. So I decided one day I woke up. I mean, I've been nurturing this idea of becoming an entrepreneur. I've spent enough life in my corporate career, and I was thinking, it's high time I did something on my own. And then that's when I thought, if not now, when? And so immediately jumped onto it. And then I knew this. There's an incubator called Singapore Deep Tech Alliance, and the owner, managing partner of that is Luke, and he's a Dutch guy based in Singapore. And I contacted him, and he said, "Come and join our incubator. We'll help you do a startup. It's just a 3-month. We'll give you a 3-month baptism by fire." And then we'll also put you on to some of the technologies available with A-Star, and yeah, we'll help you set up the company, and then you're on your own. I said, great, let me do that. And then I joined him, and I went through this 2 to 3 month intense program where they talked about everything, how to do a startup and deep tech startup and so on. And that's where I found Lars, and the two of us got together. He's from the sensor, and I knew the problem statements from my previous life. And therefore, when I saw an array of technologies which A-Star presented to all of us, and then I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. They exactly have the solution for what I'm thinking for. Of course, theirs was a manual solution, but I said, okay, we can take that. I'm an engineer. I realized immediately that can be engineered to do, in the site and so on. We took up on that. And the best part was, even before we formed the company, I went about talking to customers around the market to see if there's an opportunity for this. And we already actually received 3 orders who said, if you can deliver this at site monitoring, here is an order. Here's an LOI. Of course, we didn't discuss price. They said, here is an LOI. Give us the solution. We want to be the guinea pig. Come and lay it out on us, and we'll be happy to test it out because we're desperate. We are paying millions of dollars of funds. So that's what triggered the whole thing, that there is a genuine problem. When you go with a concept, not even a product, a concept, and people are willing to give you an LOI, it sort of validates our product market fit. And then from there, we quickly productized it. The good news is both Lars and I are quite experienced. He's also about 15, 20 years as a researcher, and I'm working, and I've been in manufacturing, the product, R&D, supply chain. So I'm quite a hands-on guy as well. So we got in together, quickly we didn't have money, right? So we hired some interns, uh, produced the first prototype of using this, and then went to the customers, started to deploy it, and then they started to pay money. And then with that, we went and got our seed. We went to investors, and we approached them for some seed funding. And suddenly, we finalized the seed funding within a couple of months. And with that, we put up a proper engineering R&D lab. We hired some people. We got a proper office. We built these products, and that's when we made that pivot from having a manual product to an autonomous robotic device. Also use some interns. We had no money yet that much of money to hire expensive people, right? We got some smart mechatronic engineers from interns, and we just worked together, built the first prototype, deployed it in some of the sites, got some money, and then we slowly built up a project. And the first year of business, we already ended up with some revenues, and that helped us. And then the orders started to come in, and then with that, I went and approached the investors, and we got the 7 million US, which we raised beginning of the year, not beginning, middle of the year. And now we will end up with a substantial revenue this year. Almost.
Almost sounds too good to be true, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You don't normally hear people say, "Oh yeah, things just fell into place. It was dead easy. Now we've got loads of money."
Yes and no. I've simplified our
You make
journey.
it sound like that, yeah. But is that the reality of it? Was it really that easy?
I'm guilty of simplifying a journey, but personally, I've spent many sleepless nights. I continue to spend sleepless nights when we have a small niggle in the technology and we can't fix it out. I'm like breaking my head. What can we do? How do we solve this? So typical startup problems, right? Then we don't have enough scale to manufacture. Today we have more orders than we can supply. So we are seeing how to manufacture, how to patent all the important IPs. Can we really patent it? Should we keep it as a know-how or a trade secret? Because we don't want to lay out all of our IP out there for people to see and make some small change and use it. So we don't want to be patenting everything, but we still want a few patents. We also want to keep rest of it as trade secret. So it's battling multiple hats and trying to struggle as well. So yeah, but I think today, if I look at today, I've of course simplified my last 2 years journey. It's been very, very tumultuous, but I would say that today, to a large extent, the tech, which basically our electrochemical sensors, the mechatronics, the robotics, we have a team of almost 15 of us in the tech field. And just about 3 of us are in the non-tech field, including me. I'm the only salesperson. We don't even have a salesperson yet in the organization. As a CEO, I do sales as well. So I'll probably hire the first sales end of the year or beginning of the year. But yeah, I don't even have an HR person yet. So I'm going to hire the first HR person because we know about 18 to 20 people. Probably a thing. Right now, we're outsourcing everything, accounting, finance, everything's outsourced. So I think from my experience from working in Volvo, I can sort of easy for me to prioritize what skills I need and what I can outsource, how to draw the vision and show the vision to the company, how to market it in a good way. Not no need to do performance marketing and spend a lot of money. Just work in small, intimate events where we hardly spend money. We get corporates to sponsor some of our events because we're showing value on sustainability basis. So it's also working smartly that you don't spend a lot of money on stuff which is not directly adding to immediate value. Of course, some of these add long term value. So I think balancing all of that is what helped me. And for sure, the 25 years of experience as right from as an engineer intern all the way to being a managing director and the entire working in different parts of the world also has helped me a lot in how should I say it, in making less mistakes, and also making a mistake once and learning from it and not repeating it. I think that's we all make mistakes, but I think I'll kill myself if I repeat a mistake because I expect myself to have learned from the first mistake and not repeat it. So that's
One thing that sounds like it might be a superpower for you, because I think one thing that would scare most people off from a field like this is also the B2B sales part. Like you're selling to corporate folks at a pretty senior level in these events where, like if some college grad would find that very difficult. Would you say that that's been one of the big things that kind of helped you early on?
in Volvo, I was almost B2B, 100% B2B. There was no B2C, right? So I'm in a comfort zone there with B2B. So some of the learnings while working with B2B is, of course, very quickly finding the right person to talk to in a huge organization. Otherwise, you could just spend, wearing the leather on your shoes, trying to talk to people who can't take a decision. And you're just pounding the payment and nothing happens and you get frustrated and you just give up, right? So I think with my corporate experience, I quickly figure out who is the person we should talk to in each of the corporates and try and find our network to get to them directly. Uh, you can never write a how's the general email and hope that somebody will read it and contact us. Not happening. So you have to use our contacts to get to the person, talk to the person directly, get introduced. Uh, and then you tell a compelling story, and then hopefully they will think. So one good thing with corporates, everybody in a corporate is also trying to make name for themselves, right? So when they feel there's something interesting, they will take it up and say, okay, I want to show to the within the company that I found something interesting for the company. So we have to sort of tap onto that desire of people in the corporate as well. And then we show them how it can be a win-win scenario. uh, we are never talking about selling, obviously. We talk about what value we bring to them and how they'll save money. You can talk about, even in my the most complex orders, I've never talked about uh, in terms of, of course, it's important environmental sustainability, of course, important for their customer satisfaction and all that. But it's all important, but ultimately it boils down to how much money they can save or how much more money they can make. So I straight away hit that. And then from there, I say the other benefits are you'll be more, focused environmentally, you tick all the boxes there, you can keep your customers happy. But the fundamental thing is you are saving money. If you're not able to prove to a corporate or to anybody in a B2B scenario that you're saving money or making money, I think the road is a lot of bumps out on the road there. So if you can get that message quickly across, I think that the bumps smoothen out and you can have an easier drive up to potential commercial traction.
Gotcha. And it sounds like despite you being the only salesperson and I'm sure you have lots of other responsibilities and talking to investors, like despite that, sales is not the bottleneck, rather fulfilling the orders is. So you must be really effective at it. Like you
Yeah,
found the sweet spot. Yeah.
yeah, fair enough. I mean, absolutely. I'm now the CFO as well. I do the entire business planning and business the budgeting exercise, planning for cash flow. I was also in the Volvo Financial Services, which means I got trained on the job on financial services aspects, right? So I'm quite reasonably conversant with that. So I do the entire financial planning and so on. I will hire a first finance person probably end of this year. So I'm doing that takes a lot of my time talking to investors. We have a monthly board meeting, so to preparing how we are doing, what's the business looking like, and give them the confidence that we're on the right track. I think all of that, but more importantly for me, uh, I would say that the three things which take up a lot of my time is sure, customer sales, talking to them and building the pipeline, not just for today, but also for tomorrow and next year and the year after. So building that. And in the process, which market should we be? What segment should we be? We are in data centers. Should we, for example, go into Europe? Should we go into US? Should we go into Middle East? So this is the kind of quick decisions we have to take. So in terms of front end, right, going to the market, customers, expansion, segments, geography, that's what takes a lot of my time. The second thing which takes a lot of my time is definitely tech. Uh, Despite the fact that we have a strong tech team, oftentimes tech guys are tech people, right? They can be in that vision, but sometimes they will not be able to step up 5,000 feet and look like, how will this product look like? What does the customer want? And that angle, sometimes we just, not that I'm the expert, but I just give them the nudge, thinking that this is how can this look like this? Is it how we'll solve customer problems? And then we work backwards and say, okay, now it makes sense, right? So we don't start with the product and then go to the market. We start with what the market wants and work backwards. How should this product look like to satisfy this problem, right? That's how we work backwards. And a lot of those discussions, I use the word strategic technical discussions, right? So those kind of discussions we have where we work backwards, and that requires a lot of time of my time working directly with my tech team. And that's second one. Third one is also hiring people, hiring the right people. We've made mistakes. I've had to unfortunately let go of people because some of them are not suited for a startup culture, where you have to be agile, you have to learn, you have to be curious. There's nothing you cannot. Nobody can come back and say I don't know, because then nobody else knows, right? You just have to figure out a way to go and learn and solve it. So moment a person says I don't know, tell me how to do, then I'm a little bit worried. If they say I don't know, but I will learn, I'll figure out, I'll take your help, then I'm game. I said great. All of us have to learn and go and figure out and be curious and so on. So I think I've made a few mistakes as a CEO in the people I've hired as well. So it's very important that we get people who have a little bit of base knowledge, but also ability to constantly learn, build upon it, do the homework, do research, work smartly, not work hard, and come with this. So I think hiring and keeping the mission focused on the team, that sometimes you take a couple of steps backward, ultimately we all have to take steps forward, right? So that's that whole thing. So I think those are three areas which takes a lot of my time when it comes to working with them. Of course, then there are regulators, working with government agencies,
Yeah.
and yeah, those things, like even whether the GST has been filed, whether it's very
Yeah.
mundane but important tasks, right? Have you filed all the returns with the agencies and government? There's so many regulatory aspects for a startup. Most of us don't realize how much of work goes into it, and there's nobody else to do it. I just do it. So I keep aside
Yeah.
the weekends for doing all these different kinds of tasks. And then, yeah, so my Saturday is for mundane tasks, Sunday is for creative tasks, and the weekday is for work-related work, office-related work.
Wow. I One thing that hits me too is just how scrappy you are for someone that spent 25 years in the corporate world. Like I have friends that lead, senior positions in these multinationals, and it's more about, all right, we're gonna have a planning meeting, and then we're gonna do a review, and this is how they talk. But like I don't hear that, which
Now,
did you just make that
I
transition really fast, or you always had it, or
No, I think the transition is very fast. I've made it mandatory that no meeting be more than 30 minutes. If you can't discuss something in 30 minutes, we can't solve the problem. So don't waste your time. In fact, when I call for a meeting, I only fix 30 minutes. So people are forced to if you give it an hour and say, you know what, it's very often we send in corporate word, we say this shouldn't take more than 15 minutes, but anyway, blocking 1 hour. That's the worst thing to do because it'll stretch for an hour, right? And we don't have time for that. So I only block 30 minutes and say this might actually take 45 minutes, but let's see how we'll squeeze it in 30 minutes. And then people are energetic to finish it within 30 minutes. But I think that I hate these kind of review meetings and so on. If you cannot discuss something on the corridor and finish it, I'm not going to call for a formal meeting and thrash it out till the cows come home, right? So yeah, I think that's that. Yeah, I think corporate life tends to drain people's energy in meetings and review meetings and planning meetings and so on. I think, and I see now that a lot of corporates are also embracing the startup way of keeping it short, keeping small team meetings, not necessarily copying 100 people in a CC in an email. I think the corporates are also learning some of these things as well. But yeah, when you startup, you learn it. You get baptized by fire. You have 2 meetings. You realize you wasted time. You realize quickly that you need to set things right. So I think we learn it on the go, or get a bit of a baptized by fire, as I say. Yeah.
Talking of 30 minutes, we've hit our 30-minute mark. And just as you were talking, I had a glitch. And just as you were talking about keeping minutes to 30, keeping meetings to 30 minutes, and I thought, oh, that's it. He's finished. He's gone. But thankfully, you're not quite that strict. But just before we wrap up, is there something you would like to plug to our audience or some message you would like to deliver?
I think the key thing is we are a startup. I'm always looking for opportunities to partner with people. I like to do POCs with corporates. Any new application, any new products, we love to partner. For me, partnership is a new leadership. So when we sometimes worry about our patents being copied, I think it's easier for people to just partner with us rather than trying to copy and trying to reverse design. And that's what I tell people in corporates and so on. Sometimes I don't even worry about too much about NDAs and so on, because I feel that it's much easier for everybody to partner than to copy, reverse design, and so on. So we're always open to partnerships. We're always open to new problem statements. We're willing to work with that. Most importantly, we're looking for channel partners. We're working today in Southeast Asia. We're working today in Nordics. So in these are only 2 zones operating today. We are planning to enter US next year, but anyone who's interested to work with us, partnerships, channel partners, distributors, more than welcome to talk to us. And I'm always available. I work 7 days a week. So just ping me, contact me, ping me on LinkedIn, get in touch with my mobile phone. If any treatment companies want to partner with us, we help a lot of treatment. We work with a lot of treatment companies as well because they can optimize the treatment. So love to do all of that with him. So thanks for the 1-minute sales opportunity. I just did that.
Anytime. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I feel like we've just scratched the surface. I think we could have done like 3 hours, but we'd like to try and keep it nice and condensed.
This was brilliant, actually. I loved it. And Kieran, fantastic. I really appreciate this. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks.